Hi, I'm Rachel Salzberg, a mindset and leadership coach and founder of the movement and podcast series, The Resole Revolution. I believe that every person has the potential to create a story of transformation about their life that's so great it serves as an inspiration and model to our families, our communities, and our organizations. This podcast series serves as a platform for people to have a voice, and it serves as an inspiration for you to write your story. It's my mission through this podcast series to help people to realize their potential by resoling and connecting with themselves, and then resurging with confidence and empowered to share their gifts and purpose with the world. Please join the movement by listening to the Resole Revolution. Hi, everyone. I am so happy to be here with a dear friend of mine and someone who I've worked with over the years, Suneeta Bindal. She is a senior technical leader at Microsoft and someone I've known over the years and have truly valued her deep curiosity around mindfulness and how to develop a resilient mindset. And I've also just been so awe-inspired about her passion to develop, grow, and coach others. And so today we're going to talk about Suneeta's ability to develop a resilient mindset, but also how she embarks on her journey and, what has helped her and how she can talk about some tools and to help all of you. So with that, I'm going to have Suneeta introduce herself to all of you.
Thanks a lot, Rachel, for that wonderful introduction. I really, truly value our friendship. And another tidbit is we do share our birthdays.
That's
together.
Right.
So it's been a pleasure having worked with you as well. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. A little bit about myself. I was born in Africa. I've kind of lived in 26 countries. And so it's been a fun journey. I've worked in several industries and all doing different kinds of technology, all the way from e-commerce to cloud to telecommunications and now back to like cloud computing, as well as dealing with the hardware, consumer electronics. That's the current job that I have at Microsoft.
And so what I love about kind of this living in 26 countries, wow. And I remember when we first met, it was like, how did you develop kind of this ability to be flexible and adaptable, not only to live in 26 different countries, but to adapt to a culture and a language? So how did that kind of help you in your journey around mindset and resilience?
That's a good question. Reflecting back, I didn't have that much wisdom, but reflecting back for sure, it's been about trusting in this universal flow of energy. I think living out of faith and not fear. I think those are some of the lessons that I'm learning as I've grown into, doing more mindfulness practices. I think it's about trusting in this universal flow, and it's going to take you where you need to be. And so if you think about this synonymous thing, as you're growing up as a child, you're just laughing, you're just playing, you have no worries, you have no anxiety, your mind is not preoccupied at all. So it is just that, you're just freely flowing with whatever life is throwing at you. I think that is something that if we practice diligently can lead to us having a calmer mind, which then it leads us to have, better insights, and believing in ourselves more and building confidence through that process.
I love that description in terms of being flexible and trusting kind of the universal energy and flow. And it's something that I really try and aspire to be as well. But I wasn't always like that. And I know when we first started working together, can you describe how you got there and what, in terms of whether a life event or a situation that kind of made you curious and embark upon this journey of identifying and trusting kind of the flow of energy in the universe and to be resilient?
Definitely. A couple of years ago, I lost my mom. I had lost my dad a few years before 2013, and I lost my mom in 2013. So I think that kind of triggered curiosity about life and the purpose of life. And so I went on this journey. I was really heartbroken because when you lose both your parents, it almost feels like, the foundation of your house is gone. And so I think that was a deep setback because I really loved my mom. And so I really, really missed her. And so I went into this depression. And so I was trying to overcome that and thinking, oh, what am I running on a treadmill for? If I have to leave everything behind one day, what do I exist for? Who am I? And hence, I think, Rachel, our paths crossed there. And I'm so thankful that you kicked me off on this journey by examining my belief system, what's holding me back, what's making me negative. You made me examine my value system, and you made me go through those exercises to discover myself. And then, of course, a couple of years ago, we were on a retreat together, and just doing that self-reflection, the self-care, that was part of the kickoff of my journey. And then since then, I have done a lot of other deeper things like, going and doing an inner engineering program, doing yoga practices. And then I can mention 3 or 4 books that have really been life-changing for me. So Michael Singer's 2 books, The Untethered Soul, has been very, very helpful for me in that respect. And then the Surrender Experiment. And then The Invisible Power. Those are the 3 books I would really say. And then recently I'm getting into this daily stoicism. I don't know if you've, so Ryan Holiday's books, all the 3 of them. Stillness is the key. I think I got hooked onto that one. And then I'm trying to read his others. Ego is the enemy, obstacle is the way. So I think deeper reflection along with coaches like you in my life have really, really helped me see. And if I were to give the 3 things that really, really helped me build this resilience is believing in yourself, which will result in better confidence, right, in yourself. And then calmer mind. I think a calmer mind helps you to connect better with the insights. We often forget to connect with those universal insights that come through you, and we try to go against them. So somebody gave me the analogy like you're swimming in a river. So river will keep flowing in one direction. You can try to go against the flow and drown yourself if you swim upstream, or you can swim downstream and get to a destination. The analogy is like there are things under your control and there are things not under your control. So realizing that universal flow is with you, it's just work in progress. I'm not going to say I'm fully there and I've achieved it, but constant reminder. And then something else, I think, Rachel, that you really instilled in me was the affirmations. So waking up in the morning, even if it takes 30 seconds to just smile, if you think about the world around us right now in COVID and you being alive and waking up alive, we take that for granted. And then going to bed and, doing a gratitude journal, I think that's the other thing you introduced me to. So I think some of those smaller practices along with, yoga, meditation, the inner engineering, curriculum, as well as these books have been instrumental in my life, and definitely not to forget coaches like you who have been part of my journey for the last 7-8 years. So I'm really, really grateful. And I think if I reflect back, it's all about what's meant to be is meant to be, like reaffirming that we are all beautiful souls. We are all part of this one cosmic energy has been very powerful revelation, as we empower other human beings, because as leaders, we have responsibilities for that too.
I love it. And that is really kind of the foundation of the Resole Revolution, right? It's the resole and resurge. And what you described is how did you resole yourself and then resurge? And then our responsibilities as human beings, bringing consciousness into the world is it takes one by one. And then you impart your tools and your insights and your wisdom to be able to help people also grow and learn and bringing consciousness into the world and humanity back into business. And what I really appreciate you talking about, because I've just witnessed you in terms of your journey and the deep level of curiosity and the perseverance that you've taken to create these disciplines and practices for yourself. And as you said, it's almost kind of these three pillars of being aware of your deep-seated belief systems that no longer serve you, and then to create new ones through affirmations and being very disciplined to kind of reprogram the brain. But then the second part is kind of being aware of how you want to live this life. What is your bigger purpose and what are your core values versus kind of running the treadmill? And then developing that confidence and trust in yourself to take inspired action. And then through that, that self-care, that's, whether it's quieting the mind through stillness, through yoga, to reading, to, all of these things in combination in bits and pieces are kind of what I call micro goals. And it's been amazing to witness your journey to really embrace it. And that is inspiring to me. Oh, right. That's a good reminder. The gratitude journal in the evening and the affirmations during the day to who am I, in the bigger picture of this life. So it's been really cool to witness you embrace this journey and to be very disciplined in practice. And I can completely feel and sense the difference in you as a leader and the sense of calm and confidence that you exude as a leader. So tell me how you, as in terms of whether it's been COVID and the times of intense uncertainty, how you've kind of embraced that not only for yourself, but who the people you lead.
Yes, certainly. Last year has been a year of growth, I would say, but year of trials and tribulations, let's put it that way. So in terms of trials, I was given a new team. There were a few underperformers. And just to transform the whole team with all the stuff going around the world and working remotely and, having to let go people even remotely or, not being able to meet people in person. It was challenging, but I'm glad that, some of these practices were in flight, that I could maintain resiliency through this, because there were a lot of, things happening around at work. If it was not for the resiliency and if it was not for a strong belief system, meaning the truth will unfold. Mm-hmm. Sunita, stay calm, the truth will unfold. So going through all the stuff back home with family members who were, going through sufferings, as well as your work environment, it was definitely full of trials. But so it's just through these practices that I think I managed to sustain it and do my best at work. So I would wake up every day, do these positive thoughts, and then say, Sunita, whatever I can do is I can only do the best today. So mm-hmm. The other thing I keep telling myself is not to think of the past, not to think so much about the future. So the question I guess asked is, so do we need to set up goals then, or should we just not set goals? Yes, setting goals is important. Just like when you jump into the river, you kind of have a mind where you're going to swim to, which shore you're going to catch. But if sudden things happen and, so you will have to change course. So that's the only lesson I keep telling myself, not to resist the universal flow. If you have a goal and you see different resistances in achieving that goal, let it go. Let it go for some time when the time is right, or when you have a fresher mind, or when you have a calmer mind. You will come up with some insights, which hopefully we can tune in and listen. I think the hardest part for me has been tuning in to listen, because if you're up in your mind with the frenzy of thoughts, then I think, Rachel, you're the one who probably told me this, that you feel your thoughts and then, the actions are emanating from those feelings. It's like how, a radio is playing by your side, but if your mind is busy, you don't even know what song is playing on your radio, right? So it's the same thing I feel that I keep reminding myself that, hey, if the time is not right, or if I'm really struggling with something, take a break, let it go. Let it go, and then just come back to it with a calmer mind or a refreshed mind, or because and then sometimes you look at the problems and then I look at it, it's not the end of life. Mm-hmm. Putting those things in perspectives have really helped me build resiliency and go through some of these difficult situations that I had to go through last year.
It's an amazing description. And you actually bring we're talking about books here and you have such amazing book suggestions. And there's a book that I've recently listened to now probably for the third time called literally that, Letting Go. And, it talks about exactly what you're talking about, that in terms of stepping away from the problem. And rather than kind of getting spun up and caught into the story of the problem, being able to quiet your mind and or stepping away from it, and then insights and clarity will come. So it's detaching from the outcome. And as you said, I really appreciate kind of this idea of flow. Again, the metaphor of the stream, where it doesn't mean just quote, go with the flow. So you don't really have kind of a goal or intention, but it's being adaptable and flexible and being open to another perspective, another way of doing something. But to slow down and quiet the mind, to be able to notice and see the opportunities that may show up and the insights, and quieting the mind, the insights and the wisdom that you may get through quieting the mind. And so it's a wonderful way. And I actually recently wrote an article this week on something like that, in terms of being able to slow down, observe, listen. And it's kind of this notion of speed. The notion of speed is not really how fast you or slow you go, but it's how you observe, listen, and adapt to it. And then you can make decisions on whether you need to speed up and execute, or whether you need to slow down and step away from the problem to be able to get clarity to move forward. And so I really appreciate you as a leader talking about the giving yourself permission and the need to slow down. And by letting go of the belief systems and being aware of feelings that you're describing, and your thoughts are feelings, so that you can shift your mindset to get into a positive mindset, to be able to see things in a different, through a different lens.
Thank you. Yeah, Rachel, you kicked me off on a journey.
Well, Sunita, you have been such a wonderful friend, colleague, person to witness and observe as a leader, to really flourish. And it's been fun to kind of be in your presence and share stories and insights and books. And you're an inspiration for me to be able to see that growth and that deep curiosity and that discipline that you created for yourself, and that you exude that for others and your team. And it's really cool to see your ability to have kind of stay grounded and centered with resilience to keep moving forward.
Yes, I really appreciate you, Rachel, because I think in difficult times, you've always been there, and, bouncing off ideas have always helped me just talk it out or bounce ideas. So I really, really appreciate the inspiration you've been to me as well.
Oh, well, thank you. And I think the other thing that we're talking about here is just this ability to ask for support, right? We're in this together, right? And so when even just sharing insights and your own story helps people to feel that they're not alone, right? And that's what the Resole Revolution is about. It's a platform and a voice for people not only to listen, but to learn and to also feel that they're not alone as human beings, especially in this kind of world where we are, in one sense, so isolated, working remotely, and we're not in the, kind of this day-to-day situation, but to kind of carry it forward, right? And a wonderful thing is that the tools that you had developed.
And just to add to that, like you said, I think having your own support board of directors, like some folks who you can trust and call them and, lean on them, don't feel bad about it,
right.
Like you mentioned, I think it's very important because sometimes it's just talking through an insight can pop up, right? Or somebody knows someone, they can share a name or something like that. So it's always good to talk through. Maybe somebody has already gone through that experience and can share further about how it will, unfold. Talking with mentors, talking with supporters has always been my survival, one of my survival tactics, I would say. for sure.
It's so true. I always believe that personal is universal, and some things that are challenging, we tend to isolate ourselves and feel like, oh, we're the only ones feeling like this, or we feel alone, or I don't want to burden someone, and so developing that confidence to say, hey, this is how I'm feeling, or hey, do you mind talking? And as you said, just talking through something and bouncing ideas off and just having someone listen, right, as an objective perspective, so we can be that for each other and our teams, the people we lead, our friends. And so I think that you bring up a really good point, is putting yourself out there and letting go of the belief system that will be a burden, or someone will be a burden, or someone doesn't care, or someone doesn't want to hear me, or I'm the only one who thinks this. Like, that's the negative talk that we can let go of, and to kind of, because people want to help each other, right? And human beings generally are very kind and good and can lead with empathy and compassion, but we have to be humble at first, right?
Right. And as leaders and managers, the other criteria is that people look up to you. So you have to show up, even though there is so much stuff happening, you have to just still show up with a positive energy. If you don't have a calm mind, then it shows up, right?
Right.
So being centered, being grounded, being resilient always helps you to at least, put up a positive face in certain circumstances. That way, not everybody's getting impacted at the same time.
You bring up a really good point. It's our own responsibility to be grounded and centered, even if we feel like on the outside we're kind of visibly grounded and centered. If we're not on the inside, it actually shows up and then impacts everybody we work with and engage with. And so it's each of our responsibilities to be grounded and centered. And I think to add to that, it's important as a leader to feel like, well, I don't have it together all the time. So today I'm exhausted, or today I'm having this hard day, right? And so that also gives people permission not to feel on all the time.
That's true too. Like, if you can be, vulnerable and tell people that, then sometimes it works. But if you do that more often, it may not work.
Yeah, that's great. And it's a wonderful leadership attribute that you exude, and you're always authentic, and you're always humble and kind. And that's someone who, you've always kind of shared the deep curiosity for people. So thank you so much for sharing your journey from the beginning of, living in 26 different countries to this, kind of shaped you, and then kind of moving into your journey of curiosity about mindset and developing resilience, and the tools that you kind of pulled from your toolbox, and then sharing those. And it's been really amazing to watch you grow and blossom as a human being, to be just grounded and centered and confident in yourself. So that is an inspiring and I would say one of the best and amazing attributes of a leader, to be deeply curious about consciousness and awareness. So thank you very much for sharing this on the Resole Revolution podcast series. It was amazing to kind of chat with you and hear your story again in that way.
Thank you so much, Rachel, for giving me the platform, as well as thank you for being with me in my life journey. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much. And you're right. We'll share our birthdays together next week. So
yeah.
All right. Thank you, Sunita.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
Please reach out to me if you have a story to share. We'd love to hear from you and how you created change in yourself and developed resilience, purpose, and confidence. You can inspire others to resoul, resurge, to shine, and thrive. You can reach out to me at rachel@facetscoaching.com or go to theresolerevolution.com. You can also subscribe to the Resole Revolution on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube to hear more interviews with real people and real stories of resurgence. By listening, you're contributing to the movement, the Resole Revolution.